Thank you very much, Jim. Yes, this is the big one now. Back together, me and Richard Buckley for this grand final. Rich, over 1,000 players were foot verified at the start of the FIFA 21 season. Now only 2 players remain. And I don't think one of these players you would have ever put into this conversation. Klenke, 947th on the Global Series rankings, got here via a virtual league against one of the most sort of experienced players in the Global Series rankings. 27 years of age, Levy. This is a grand final that no one would have maybe expected, but hopefully it'll be one that we'll remember.
I mean, look, you just got to hold your hands up and say fair play to the pair of them. You mentioned his Xbox rankings on the PS, 233rd, so nowhere near qualifying on either console was Klenke, but incredible performance in Season 6 of the E-Superliga. Qualifier 1, Brandon, 655 players entered the first qualifier. We're now down to the top 2 in Europe.
And as we said, the winner of this one, Rich, gets $100,000. They're both at the FIFA E World Cup. This has been all the ingredients, Richard. You could say the perfect ingredients to what has been a FIFA E World Cup ticket for Inter's Levy.
Yeah, the big thing for Levy's squad, really, the takeaway, no Ruud Gullit. He doesn't get a start. It's Bruno Fernandes and Frenkie de Jong as the 2 central midfielders. Gullit is involved in Klenke's squad. It's Ramos accompanying Patrick Vieira as the 2 centre-backs. João Cancelo fills in at right-back, Alphonso Davies as the left-back, and Thibaut Courtois marshalling the sticks.
We have to talk about this first and foremost in this grand final. There is a loser bracket. There is potentially a bracket reset that could be happening. For that to happen, Klenke has to win this first 2-legged game and then another 2-legged game again if there's any chance for him of making this matchup happen. On the flip side, for Inter's Levy, win 2 games. And he's there. He came out on social media earlier today, did Klenke, and said, oh, sorry, did Levy. And just went, what is happening to me right now? What is happening in life? He's a man that's been in this FIFA scene for such a long time. His words were, Richard Buckley, my life has changed.
Life-changing moments, life-changing amounts of money as well. You lose this game, you're guaranteed $70,000. You win it, add an extra 30k on top, $100,000. I commentate alongside Ryan, Levy's first game of the broadcast against Tex. He looked mediocre at best. Now to see him in a grand final is incredible. Just goes to show over the course of 3 days in the Swiss, you can definitely lose your spot, but you can't win anything in Swiss. Just got to get through. He got better and better, and he's deserved his spot to be here on the grand final stage.
Klenke, he's been the surprise package, as the great Dane. Been quite a good weekend for Denmark, in all honesty. There was 4 Danish players that did turn up to the Global Series playoffs. 2 of them have made it to the FIFA E World Cup finals. Mr. Lilies of Bromby and also teammate of Klenke. Been quite the weekend to remember, in all honesty, for Bromby Esport. And to be honest, it's been a season to remember. Me and you, Richard, we've had great experience commentating on a handful of those Scandinavian leagues before. And for the E-Superliga, I think they deserve quite a lot of credit, alongside the Allsvenskan, the E-Syrian, of just doing such a good job of progressing young Scandinavian FIFA talent into the Global Series, because there's no more perfect example of what Klenke's done. An E-Superliga champion. We spoke about the rankings. He was an MVP. He was a breakout player in the E-Superliga, top goals. He won everything, basically, and he's backed it up in the playoffs too.
Well, I'm not even just going to leave it at that, Brandon. I'm also going to say a number of the domestic leagues that have the long format. Look at Levy Frederic right now as well, doing very well after performing in multiple versions of the Eredivisie.
Top 4 finish for him. FC Emmen this year. With Ollie Bolly, chance maybe for the first goal in this game. A little Lacroqueta, can't find the way past Vieira. This could be a very long game, this one. No doubt those virtual leagues have played a huge part of not just the Global Series, but the development that we're seeing here. I think the biggest stat that I spoke about earlier today, Richard, was that Levy Frederic, since 2014 until today, bagged $20,000 in prizing. The biggest win he had was a $7,500 check back in Singapore at that, if you remember rightly, that Foot Champions Cup that he had a great run at. Today, He's bagged $70,000, Richard. He's tripled his all-time earnings.
With potential to take it to 100. 5 times.
I don't think you need any more of a, example there. I think you asked Ryan Purcell the same question. You said, does it give you hope to keep on grinding the game, to keep waiting for that perfect season? If you do it all right in one tournament, more than your life will change. It goes to show, 27 years of age, you're never too old to compete. He'll be one of the oldest competitors there in the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah, the age difference, 11 years between these two. Crazy.
I know it's the famous line that I'm sure will get memed about somewhere in the world, but why is there so many players at 16 years of age that are just fearless, unbelievable at this game? I think it's 3.
I'll tell you.
Out of the 9 that from this weekend have qualified?
I can give you a pretty decent explanation why. There's no age cap on playing FUT Champions. There's no age cap on playing division rivals, Brandon. Look at Anders, dominating a lot of independent tournaments. 14, 15 years old. As soon as you're eligible to play in the Global Series, when you turn 16, you've already had 2 to 3 years of playing against the best pros, playing in tournament environments, just not in the Global Series. Whereas before, you had to get to the FIFA Interactive World Cup to sort of get any experience, really.
I mean, that's a scary idea there. Anders Vergang, what he's going to be like when he comes through. And hopefully it'll be at such a level that he can continue to stir the pot. If you have just tuned in, this is our Xbox Grand Final here in the playoffs. $100,000 on the line. Could this be the first goal in the game? It's well worked by Inter's Levy. Back to Inter's Levy again. It nearly falls back to R9. He scored a couple of massive goals this weekend. Say a couple. He scored a handful of goals. Of course, got an extra special touch in an Inter shirt. Team that he played for within his illustrious career. And the bigger part, Richard, is that these two have already played before here in this tournament. They matched up in a winners' final earlier today, which meant that Klenke had to go down to the loser bracket to fight his way back up into this final matchup. It was a 4-4 game with a penalty shootout that decided the overall winner. Question is, will it be revenge or repeat?
I was actually watching that game, yourself and Lisa commentating over it. It always seemed like Klenke was in control of that game, but Levy just didn't let him settle. And he just kept on fighting back, just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. And in the end, it came down to a nerve-wracking penalty shootout.
Chance for Levy! Well, you said about that rightly. When they matched up earlier today, it was Klenke that always was able to sort of take the lead and to take the steer of the game. That goal on the stroke of half-time means that Inter's Levy Frederique will lead by a goal still. The double-tap pass making all the difference once again. Cristiano Ronaldo, clinical as ever.
What a performance that Levy Frederique is putting on right now. Some may know him as Inter's Levy, some may know him as Sterren Status. If you're back in the day, we know him as a playoff grand finalist, potentially soon to be Xbox European playoff champion. He leads 1-0 against Klenke.
And I can assure you right now as well, there's a lot of Turliks going on right now all around the Netherlands. He's been on social media, Levy, and said, thank you so much to the Netherlands community. All the Dutch players that are in here. I've just looked to the side of me now, Richard. Dennis Van Oven's in here, Julian Berg, Danny Hackerberg, the list goes on. They know how big of a deal it is that they have got representation in the FIFA World Cup. And they want to see this man be an Xbox champion. Fun fact for you, this man was actually involved in the last playoffs we had at LAN 2019 on the Xbox, the one that Tom Stokes won, if you remember rightly, out in Germany. He got a top 16 finish, did Levy, back then. Of course, didn't win the playoffs, but no doubt it shows the consistency levels that he has had for a long time. He's always been in the conversation. That hard work and determination finally being able to pay off here. Goal on the stroke of half-time. Inter's Levy up by a 1-0 so far.
You were speaking of the E-World Cup there. I know I saw just Nightwatch put it out on social media. We were talking about it privately as well in regards to the players who have made E-World Cups this year. 20, I think, of the 23 currently there are new players making their debut. And a lot of those players as well will be making their first ever LAN event as an E-World Cup. That's even, I think that's even crazier. That your first event will be the FIFA E-World Cup for a number of those players.
That is actually ridiculous. Inter's Levy looking for 2! Oh, no! The man who was a hero at Inter once upon a time might just be the hero to get this man over the line to an Xbox Championship in the playoff finals.
Levy doesn't even look like he's in a final right now. He looks like he's taking the dog for a stroll. He looks calm, he looks cool, he looks composed. Does Inter's Levy. He's staring $100,000 in the face.
I think what's just brought me an even bigger smile, Rich. I just looked to the side of him in the Twitch chat. Coach Bass. He's it. Hoping that the Netherlands can get their biggest win of ever. For their biggest achievement in the Global Series, I should say, an Xbox win here. I think what often happens in these double bracket resets, Rich, that we've seen so many times is that the player that is on the up half of the bracket goes through the winner's bracket, you know, wins the winner's final. They always throw that first two-legged game. Not to curse Levy here by any means, but it's often always the case. Then the bracket reset seems to happen. The amount of bracket resets we've had this year, Richard Buckley, in South America, across the Asian events, Oceania, when we commentate on those playoffs, it always seems to be the way. Even in Europe, bracket resets always happen.
Yeah, I mean, other than sort of Levy Weed on the PlayStation, you're probably looking at who's won events. You're probably looking back to what Ajax Danny's done at E-World Cups, playoffs. What was it, 3 years ago in his hometown of Amsterdam? He made a semi-final, if memory serves correctly, losing to Megabit in those particular playoffs. That was FIFA 18. So it's great to see the Netherlands have been doing things correctly in the Netherlands for a very long time. With the Eredivisie, with the regional championships, finally getting some really good recognition, not only from their country, but internationally, globally as well.
And here's a fact for you, Richard, that I'm sure that they'll be thinking when they go into the E-World Cup. There has been a FIFA E-World Cup champion from the Netherlands, 2006 in Amsterdam. It was Andreas Smit. All that time ago. They'll be hoping that this year they might have a chance for this man to go the full way. Remember, there'll be 32 players there, 6th to the 8th of August. That's going through the archives there, Rich. There's been a lot of E-World Cups since then.
I think that's even sort of before Mike LaBelle's time, potentially. So you know that's a throwback. If it's 2006. This was the second goal here for Inter's Levy. R9 at the near post. Klenke, he's struggled to get into this game so far. He will burst into life at some point.
Sorry, Rich, he has to be careful, but by this rate, if he concedes any more, it will be too much of a mountain to climb. You remember rightly, Richard, that coach by, I think it's Daniel, who's coach at Brøndby. We've got some memories there in Brøndby, Superliga. And has been part of that esports organisation for so long. Coached the duo of Fred Berg and Houston to a E-Club World Cup victory all those years ago. They seem to always have talent, Brøndby. That's Mr. Lilies, Fred Berg, Houston, Dingo in past times. And they'll be over the moon with what they have been able to achieve this time round. 2 E-World Cup spots. Here's Pele. for Klenke. 2-0 downhill, 2 in the box, looking to Lacroqueta his way into the back of the net. How about that one for a goal in the grand final?
And I just said when we're watching those highlights, Klenke will come good in this tie. Incredible work from the young Dane. Pele with it, heel to heel, Lacroqueta, and then a right-footed strike. A lot of venom on that one. Just had a message actually from Danny Taylor with a little bit of information, Brandon. Though I don't actually think there's an E-World Cup interactive World Cup, I should say, in 2007. Looking back at the history books, but he said it was the last E-World Cup Anders Smith won before it moved to PS3. That shows how long ago we are talking.
Play as well to Danny Taylor. He's one of those players that was heavily involved there from the UK scene. Interesting format, the E-World Cup. We'll talk about it briefly. Right now, it's actually going to be a cross-console format, the FIFA World Cup, for those that don't know. You might qualify on the Xbox, but you will be playing games on the PlayStation. If you haven't known too much about the E-World Cup, there's a lot to be said about that. $500,000 in prizing, chance for Mbappe at the back post, defended well by Klenke. But from reading into it, it seems like there's a game on the Xbox, a game on the PlayStation, aggregate scoreline potentially being the scenario, just due to how different this year's been in terms of, you know, you look at, South America has been an Xbox PlayStation year. North America's only been, North America have had both consoles as well, sorry. But in West Asia, East Asia, Oceania, it's mainly been PlayStation only. So there's had to be a way that we can get 32 players which can both play on both consoles, if that makes sense.
No, and I think potentially as well, a step forward. We've always had 2 consoles when it's been at LAN, and then you have the cross-console final. I think playing on both consoles or in the tournament itself throughout the entire group stage, throughout the entire knockouts, it's going to be an unbelievable format, and really I can't wait to see it unfold. Having that diversity to play comfortably on both consoles will really prove to be a pivotal factor.
More importantly, having players flying from all over the world, which you said will be their first LAN event. The FIFA World Cup final as your first LAN event. Last chance of the first leg here. Referee, that should do us for leg 1. Inter's Levy will lead by 2-1 here in the Xbox Grand Finals in the European playoffs as part of the FIFA 21 Global Series. It's not job done yet, Richard, but it's a step in the right direction, up by a goal still heading into that second leg.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 3 or 4 steps in the right direction. We'll see the best moments from our grand final right here. Levy took the lead on the halfway mark. It was Neymar off the back of the double tap pass. See the reaction as that went in from both players, and shake the head from Klenke. Well, that head will be shaken again because Levy went 2-0 up, R9 at the near post, rattling it in on that 5-star weak foot. Klenke did come back though. Beautiful play inside the box, heel to heel flick into a Lacroqueta, and an arrow into that left corner.
Yeah, still plenty of time left to be played here in our grand final. $100,000 to one of these 2 names. This is the halfway point in the matchup. Rich, brilliant start so far. Still a second leg to come, but we have to say, Levy wins the second leg. Aggregate scoreline, he's your Xbox champion. Klenke has to go the long way here.
Yeah, it really is simple as that. If Levy wins the second leg of action, it will be all she wrote. Don't go anywhere. See if Klenke can pull out a miracle. Coming up very shortly indeed. Welcome back to the European Xbox Playoff Grand Final. Inter's Levy 2-1 up against the Danish FIFA player in Klenke. Corner whipped into the box. Comes of nothing. John by myself, Richard Buckley and Brandon Smith in the commentary booth.
Yeah, and here we go. It's a huge opportunity, this one. Inter's Levy from right to left in that Inter strip. Of course, in the bright yellow and blue of Brøndby is Klenke. He trails by 2-1. Klenke has to win this game on the second leg on the aggregate scoreline to force a bracket reset, in which he'll have to win over, again, the 2 legs. Levy could lead by 3! Composure at his finest! 27 years of age! This man has been around the block. The ball roll was superb, and the finish was even better from Cristiano Ronaldo.
He just slid him in. It was an incredible pass. Alphonso Davies just playing it onto Ronaldo on a plate. He cut up the steak into tiny little pieces and said, "Ronaldo, do you want a goal? Take it." Beautiful finish. Slotted into the bottom corner. 2-goal advantage back to Levy. And I tell you what, he looks to be going for another.
He has to put the game to bed. This man scores goals, Klenke. He's been fearless all weekend long. Just the space that was available there at the fullback. Klenke now needs 2. Mbappe down the byline, fizzes it back to CR7! Absolute rocket!
I tell you what, CR7, he has come to play in this second leg. Just teeing him up and saying, "Ronaldo, just go on and strike it." What a finish.
Nothing fancy about that one, except from get your head over the ball and get your right boot through it. Cristiano Ronaldo loves a big game. He loves a big occasion, no further. 21 minutes played. There's only 1 goal between the 2.
I'm surprised he actually hit that first time as well.
I think the goalie would get there, wouldn't you, 9 times out of 10?
Well, not only the goalkeeper getting there, but typically a player doesn't trust it to shoot first time. Mbappe, inside channel. Rebound's going to fall to him, Maldini on the line.
He's one of the only few players to use Maldini. Any reason to that, you think, Richard? It's something that a player that, of course, we see all the time. I don't know if Ramos is involved. I don't think he is. It's a Vieira-Maldini situation at the back for Levy Frederic. Pele. Come back onto that in a second in terms of the squad decisions that have been made across these playoffs. Of course, no squad restrictions in use. Levy Federico, Bruno Fernandes into R9. He can't just about find the angle that he was looking for. He gets pulled back for an offside in the end.
Yeah, you were just talking about Maldini there, his impact on the team. It's probably one of those where there's been a lot of experimentation. We heard him in the interviews earlier talking as well, saying, I've played a lot of warm-up games, I've played a lot of practice games. He'll know his best 11. He'll know that he prefers Maldini instead of Ramos, instead of maybe a Virgil van Dijk team of the year.
Tell you what, Neymar could be in it. Neymar still twisting, turning, sticks the hand back to R9. He can't find a clean shot or goal. Still someone with Inter's Levy though. Davies on the overlap, looking to get down that byline. We can be so deadly. Levy cooking up an attack on the edge of the box. Their possession flips hands, and now we've got counter-attack FIFA, where R9 has got room to run into. He's going to need Vieira to help him out. Into Neymar it will go. It's a little bit too heavy for the Brazilian. Still Neymar charging, ball roll, saves it from Edwin van der Sar. Corner into Klenke, just a quick rub of the towel, I'm sure. Sweaty palms will be no doubt happening right now. $100,000 on the line.
You just saw that chance there. The ball went out wide to Neymar. It was his decision making. He knew that he had the beating of him. The first error was Maldini just completely stumbling over the ball. R9 couldn't get away from Vieira and once Maldini had recovered. But he's certainly knocking on the door, is Klenke. I'm getting flashbacks to the winners' bracket final.
There was a 4-4 game when these two played in the winners' bracket final earlier in the tournament. João Cancelo all the way from fullback, looking for the cutback, goes for a corner. It went to penalties between these two, where Levy was able to hold on and show his experience. Courtois out from the corner. 4 minutes away from half-time here. Remember, if Inter's Levy wins this two-legged game, he will be your Xbox European champion. Klenke has to win this match and then another 2 legs of FIFA. That's because he came through the loser bracket. Levy building into this last chance of the half. Offside trap teased by Klenke. Doesn't fall into the trap as Levy. He's had enough experience to know when or not to. Watch out for the offside trap. Referee, are we playing the extra attack? R9. Still R9. R9 still on his own. Needs the help of Vieira. Referee, that will do us for half-time. 45 minutes away from writing himself into the history books as Inter's Levy.
45 minutes away from winning $100,000 is Inter's Levy. We'll see the best moments of the second leg so far. There's been 2 goals. It was Levy getting the first one. Cristiano Ronaldo, ball roll. A little extra touch just to settle it, and then a right-footed strike into the bottom corner. Big emotion from Levy. But Klenke, only a few minutes later, cut the ball back, I should say, to Ronaldo. Van der Sar almost taken into the back of the net with the power on that strike. An absolute bullet shot out of the cannon of Ronaldo's right foot. Grand final, 3-2, Levy still leads.
I mean, 1 goal, Richard, we know this more than anyone. It's not a safe scoreline. He's going to need another goal to put himself into a position where there is something to lean back on, there is something to be. There behind him in case he needs to fall back on it. Klenke. I mean, many people will look at rankings, as you said, he was an Xbox player primarily this year. 233rd he was on the rankings, sorry. 947th he was on the PlayStation. He got verified on the PlayStation, partly due to his involvement in the eSuperliga. He qualified on the PlayStation in the eSuperliga, hence why he has come through that side. Just on the Xbox, I apologise. Why he's come through on that side of proceedings. Sorry, 233rd on the PlayStation, apologies. 947th he's on the Xbox. But it goes to show the amount of prep I do about rankings, Rich, that have been thrown away this weekend is a joke.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Look,
I mean, look.
2 players in the top 10 are making it to the World Cup. No one else is.
And is this not the story that we've seen throughout the entire playoffs, though? Like, it's been time after time after time. Because you've finished so far high up the in the rankings, you come into the playoffs, it means nothing.
Ooh, pinball in the box there. Very nearly. That was the goal that he was looking for. One thing that's been on Levy's favour, other than when these two matched earlier today, there's only been 1 game where he's conceded more than 2 goals in a sort of the knockout bracket. Defends very well, Levy. It's always been a part of his game. A bit more on this as well for Levy, because no doubt teammate are Inter Esports in Resende, absolutely gutted, didn't make the playoffs this year on the Xbox. Ensured he got the job done there when he qualified for the World Cup yesterday. In his interview, he mentioned Resende and said, obviously, we knew he was gutted, a #1 ranked player on the Xbox, didn't get there, a name that, as we commentate those South American players, we expected to be there.
Yeah, knocked out by PhD, wasn't he? It was a real tough game for one of those two. Both deserved to be at the World Cup Grand Finals, but one of them had to bite the bullet, so to say, and fall out.
Klenke. Oh, no. Has to move it on to his left boot. That's a very risky tackle from Vieira. Luckily, doesn't connect. CR7 Ball roll, scoop turn, moving and grooving in the box, looking for the perfect opportunity to get the ball into R9 maybe. Just linking back to that stat. 2 players in the top 20 on the rankings qualified for the World Cup on the Xbox. And it was 3 from the top 33. The next player on that ranking is coming from 33rd position. Other than that, there's been so many stories unfolding here. The best part of it all, we get to do it all over again next Friday, Saturday and Sunday, but on the PlayStation, Richard, where there's even more players and even more storylines to unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. The players who have been verified, there are about 1,300 people who entered qualifier number 1. An incredible amount. We've whittled it down to the top 64, and they will go to battle next weekend. We need to find out who will be the top dog and the champion right now, though, and Klenke has got 20 minutes to force a bracket reset.
It's the pause menu. We will go now. I believe it's Nick Tahama who's been in the corner of Levy Frederic this whole weekend. They were teammates back at FC Groningen. Not this year in the Eredivisie, the year before that. They've always been close friends in the FIFA scene. He's been well behind, sort of in his corner, I should say, throughout these whole playoffs. He knows the journey he's been on too, very much. Old guards, not just in the Netherlands, but in FIFA esports. He'll know how close he is now. Just keep your head. You're 20 minutes away from $100,000 and a championship in the Global Series on the Xbox. Unbelievable chance, this. Looking across the board, Richard, this man's achievements in his time. Top 4 this year in the Eredivisie. Top 2 on the Xbox. He was a console finalist back in Singapore, which feels like a lifetime ago. Klenke looking for that equaliser still. Will he be able to find it? He's got 20 minutes to send us into extra time. Oh no, and there's the ball. There's CR7! Well, it's not done and dusted yet.
You thought Klenke was going to go quietly in this grand final. You've clearly not seen this man play. An incredible run from him. Knocking out so many of the big hitters. Fabio Danuzzo, he beat Godmo 10-0. He's already taken down a Dutchman in Dennis.
Some of the names he's beaten, Rich, throughout this tournament. The Gaucho, as you said, beat him on the way through 10-0 against God Mode. What a result that was. 4-1 in the Swiss rounds, did Klenke. Extra time could be on the cards here. Been an unbelievable outing for Scandinavia in general. 10 players in total they had between Norway, Sweden and Denmark. 3 of that 10 making it to the FIFA E World Cup. A very good outing. Final 10. Klenke scores, bracket resets on the cards. Look at the numbers for it's a 4-on-3. Mbappe charging. Ball roll, scoop turn. Just to name a few, little hill to hill, finds the path of R9. Which way will he go? Roulette's on the ball. Nearly falls kindly back to him again.
Is the opportunity going to come for Klenke?
Just offside for Levy. Possession once again. And you feel like since those goals have gone in for Klenke, he seems like the man on top now. Looking for the final chance of the game. Not surprised this game's 3-3. It was a 4-4 game when they played earlier today, which went to penalties. Levy winning that game.
Could be going to penalties again unless there's late drama here.
Well, here we go, last chance. Well, 30 more minutes of extra time. This will be one hell of a way to win it. We've seen big goals in FIFA esports. This will be up there as one of the biggest. CR7 can't find a way past Ramos. We're going to 30 more minutes of extra time, Richard Buckley. 3-3 after 90 minutes in this one. Remember, Levy wins the game, he'll be your Xbox champion. Klenke wins the game, a bracket reset will happen here.
We're going to see how Klenke has forced his way back into the game, because it was a great start from Levy. He was 3-1 up. Klenke did bounce back. This ball, after the heel-to-heel, into the path of Cristiano Ronaldo, who rifled it into the bottom corner. Into the second half we went. Just have a little look at this from Klenke. The extra pass, perfect, into the path of his striker. The epic music is building. $100,000 for the winner. This will get you excited. I don't know what will.
11 years between the two players. Too many ranking spots to count between them as well. But there's been more than shocks and upsets this weekend here in Europe. New players have emerged, new stories have unfolded. And 9 players have booked a ticket to the World Cup from Europe on the Xbox. 30 more minutes needed. Goretzka comes on for Klenke to freshen up that midfield.
The Vinicius Jr. as well brought on as a wide player for Klenke. He'll be occupying that left-hand side, top of the pitch.
One goal could be enough to do it. Or will we need the dreaded penalties again? Bruno Fernandes, Levy, Frederic offsided. R9. It's Ramos that wins the ball back anyway. Look at that, 64% possession. He's always been on the counter as Klenke when he's scored some of his goals today. He can break quickly, he can score fast goals. Maybe there's another prime example. He's always looking for those deep through balls, Rich.
Unless there's like a mistake, I genuinely think we could be on our penalties again. I'll be honest, I don't think there's a lot at all to separate these two.
One mistake or one bit of magic. My famous words. Always in a big moment like this. 4 minutes away from half-time and extra time. Who will join the winners list from the Global Series playoffs? And come in with a lot of pressure. A lot of momentum on their side in London. Klenke does well. He's off the pitch. Too much from Cristiano Ronaldo.
Just over running it right there was CR7. He was trying to get to the byline and look for a cutback. That's played long from Levy, and it could be a disastrous clearance from him. Vieira with a big interception to win it back, and I think that will probably do us for the first half of extra time.
It's flown past, 15 minutes away. I don't know where this game's going. The possession's in the favour of Levy, but as I was rightly saying, Rich, it just always seems to be a quick break from Klenke. You know, he's just so quick to move. He's so quick to break and counter. There you go. Look at the
see the possession there. Yeah, you see the stats on your screen. He might have had 62% of the ball, but Klenke's had double the shots on target, nearly triple the shots in total. Passing accuracy below 90% for both players as well. Nerves certainly playing a factor with that particular stat. They'd like to see it above 94, 95% roughly in the passing accuracy statistic. Not long left.
Who will crown themselves a hero? Or will we need another game of FIFA? It's as simple as this. Levy scores and wins. He'll be your Xbox European Playoff champion. Klenke scores. We're playing the game all over again. Levy into Vinicius, Neymar. Always had a soft spot in his heart for Brazilian players, as Levy, it was his selling point at one point in the Eredivisie many years ago. As you said, known as Sterren status once upon a time.
It's a good win back in the middle of the pitch there from Bruno Fernandes. A chance to create one good attack. That's really all you're looking for at this point. You're not really interested in a flurry of chances. You just want to create one really good opportunity to score a winning goal.
Is this going to be the opportunity now? Look at that run. It was cued by Bruno Fernandes. Picks up the ball now on the edge of the box. Options in support for Levy. Does well. Vinicius off the bench. Goes back out. He doesn't know where he wants to go. He's trying to find the right gap, the right angle to manoeuvre in. CR7 bundled to the ground. Referee says get back up on your feet. Klenke will look to break forward instead.
And you're seeing a lot of these attacks. Levy, he never really wanting to directional nutmeg. He's not really doing a lot of the bridge touch as well. He's very sort of setting his ways on how he plays. He's had success with it. But you'll notice that a lot of the meta, so to say, especially with the directional nutmeg, just isn't in his game. He just doesn't use it.
If you remember rightly, back in Singapore all that time ago, FIFA 19, he was playing his own style of play there as well. He made a console final, wins it back.
One more chance.
We're into the final minute now of normal time. Penalties await, unless there's a goal now. Neymar into CR7, back to Neymar! Levy Frederick! At the death! Will snatch the result, and that should be enough to become an Xbox champion for the first time ever in his FIFA esports career. He might have been one of the oldest players in this tournament, but that's one hell of a way to win it, Richard Buckley. Into Levy, you are the Xbox European champion.
Last kick of the game. Inter Levy secures his place in the history books. $100,000 richer is this man. What a moment. Drink it in, Levy, because you've deserved it.
London awaits for you, my friend, but not just an E-World Cup. There'll be a trophy on your way and $100,000 in your back pocket. And if that doesn't give you confidence to go into London to win the whole thing, I don't know what will.
What a goal it was to win the game. The 1-2 passing play. You talked about Brazilians. You talked about Neymar being a factor. He just popped it off. Little 1-2.